Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So today's video we're taking a look at issue 223 of Simply Cards and Papercraft. So let's begin with the free gift. So we've got two items here with this month's issue. So we have a 6x6 inch stencil. So this set is called Scenic Christmas. So we've got this stencil here, so you can create this kind of terrarium. Here you've got like a little stand, so you've got the main element, you've got this little handle piece at the top. You have got some snowflakes in here as well as part of the stencil. If you wanted to use this kind of all year round, and I think this would be perfect, you could turn this maybe into a shaker possibly. You know, you can use this to put flowers in and things. I would potentially look at cutting these snowflakes off just because it would give that stencil then a little more versatility. You do also have other stencils around here, so you can do a little bit of masking to use these, and this can be used then to decorate around this if you want to, so you've got the bow in there, or of course then you can just use them regularly on your project. So to then build the scenes inside of the stencil, so we have got a 25 piece stamp set. So we've got a couple sentiments in here. We've got a really lovely big Merry Christmas. I really like that because it's slightly more generic, so you'll be able to use it with more projects, and it's a little bit thicker, so you can sort of heat emboss that if you want to. We've got then Wishing You A, so you can combine that with then Merry Christmas. You've also got From Our Home to Yours and To Someone Special. So again, these sentiments can be used to create a bigger sentiment with your Merry Christmas. Then again, we've got some scenes. So we've got a little silhouette stamp down here of sort of the barn and things. We've got some mountains. We've got a house there. So we've got a really cute car with that Christmas tree on the top. We've got other sort of pieces in here to be able to build that scene. We've got a Santa with reindeer as a silhouette again, and then we've got some presents and things. So really great. You can use some of these just on their own to create scenes. If you want to, you can use them individually, or of course then you can use it in conjunction with your stencil. So that's a free gift. Let's take a quick look just at this magazine itself. So I really love the design that we've got here on the front card. So this is being able to use that stencil, and then what they've done is just cut out around that, so you've got a beautiful white border. Of course, if you just ink through this as it is, you are going to have a gap. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to move this. Is something that we can try, is to move this to get it all just connected so it is one piece. That would make a really easy sort of one layer card if you did a little bit of masking, but you can just stencil it as it is, and you know, you just get that really nice sort of white line around it. So let's take a look at some of the inspiration using these free gifts. So we've got innovative ideas, so obviously different ways of being able to use this. We've got some more in-depth, but we have got some more sort of simple card designs there as well. So we have got creating sort of like a little window. So I'm just going to hold this up to stop the glare. So, you know, using the bottom portion of that stencil where you've got those snowflakes, that's really easily done. You've got then those background pieces, but you know, you could do that and have something different in each window. Again, just using that stencil to create a lovely archway, and we've got those baubles in there as well, which is a part of the stencil. We've got creating a wreath there again with some of the other stencils. So you can stencil, or ink, sorry, should I say, just elements, and you can fussy cut around those. So we've done that with the bow there. And that's just using some different Distress Oxide colours. Then we've got how to get a striking 13-in-1 stencil. So again, different elements of using that stencil and the stamps that come with it. So this is that cover card here. So we've got the background stencil in that. Then we do have this centerpiece with then kind of those stags. So again, you can then mix and match that with other images that you do already have in your stash, creating a nativity scene. And again, then just using that stencil and the sort of individual elements that come with it. So let's take a look at what comes included in next month's issue. So here we have a Piece on Earth, it's called. So this is a Dove die set plus 17 coordinating stamps. So again, like I said, the Piece on Earth, this is called. So we've got our actual body of the dove there, and then we have this lovely die here. Again, if I just hold that up, for the wing. And then you have got other dove dies there. We've got a few really nice sentiments in there: joy to the world, sending you love and hope. So just a really different kind of style stamp set there. I'm not sure I've really seen much for that, but again, if you want sort of an alternative to anything more traditional at Christmas, that is going to be brilliant, and that goes on sale on the 18th of November. So let's get into creating today's card. So the main thing I want to focus on really is going to be this stencil. Of course, you can use this with the stamp set, and we've seen all those examples in the magazine itself. But for my first creation for this video, I really wanted to kind of try to utilize this stencil in a different way. I think, like I said before, if you did trim out these snowflakes here, you could use this all year round and put lots of different things in, and I really want to kind of explore how easy it is to kind of do that. So I'm hoping that my card today is going to work out how I want it to. So I've got my stencil. I have cut myself a piece of Nina cardstock that I can do some ink blending in for the background. I'm going to be making a 6x6 inch card, so I've got a card base. I've cut myself a piece of patterned paper, and that has come from this Simply Creative Deck the Halls paper pad. I've had this for a few years now. I've not really used a lot of it because of the colours more than anything, but I really wanted to make this work. So I've got a piece of that. So my card base is 6x6. I've trimmed this to 5 3/4 square, and then I've got a piece of red cardstock here. This is the cherry red. I thought that went nicely with the red in that patterned paper, and I've cut this to 5 1/2. It might be that I cut this down again so we have a little bit more of that patterned paper border, but I'm going to leave it as it is just for the moment. So I can pop those bits aside, because what I want to try and do is create a shaker card using this stencil. So there could be lots of other ways of doing this. There might well be easier ways of doing it. This is just how I'm going to do it to kind of try and get the effect that I really want. So I'm going to take my red card and I'm going to try and position, so I'm only worried at the moment about this main portion here. And all I'm going to do is draw around this middle section. Just enough, because obviously we've got all these snowflakes in here, so it's just going to be enough for you to see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this middle portion out. So there I've cut out this centre. I just used a craft knife there to do that, and I'm actually really impressed with myself. Normally my skills with a craft knife really isn't very good. I used a metal edged ruler for these side bits and then at the bottom, and then I did just freehand that top bit. So it could take just a little bit of practice, but you know, your skills will kind of get better. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because we can kind of blend outside of this when we come to blending our background, so it doesn't really matter as much. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is build up this here. So I've cut out a couple of elements from some brown cardstock. So of course I could have ink blended through my stencil, and that would really kind of help finish the look of this, but I wanted to have something that was just a little bit more kind of 3D, that sort of stood up a little bit. We can put a bit of dimension on here. So all I've done is cut 2 strips from some brown cardstock to go along the bottom, just like we have got in our stencil, and I've drawn around this sort of handle piece, and again just cut that from some brown cardstock as well, and that is gonna sort of build up on the top of this. The other thing I do want to do is get that bow in here as well, and I am gonna ink blend this bow. So I'm just gonna hold this down with a little bit of washi tape. I want to ink blend this in green just to get a little bit of that green colour in here. So I'm going to start off with just a little bit of peeled paint in here. So I'm not masking off the rest of my stencil because I really don't need to. I'm going to be cutting this out. Then I'm going to come in with just a little bit of rustic wilderness just to add hopefully a little bit of sort of depth into there. And there we have our green bow. So stenciling these couldn't be any simpler. And there we have our bow sort of nicely fussy cut out there. I've tried to cut it as close as I possibly can, but still kind of leaving that white border. So that's what our front is going to kind of look like. And now we just need to get started actually creating a background for this. So what I'm going to do is just lay those pieces to the side. I can come in here with my piece of cardstock. So I could just come right down in the corner, so something just like this. So I've just drawn around that shape in here just so I can really see where I want to focus with my ink blending. So first of all, I'm going to come in with a little bit of chipped sapphire. So I want to create a really sort of dark, kind of snowy background here. So we're going to be covering all of those pencil marks we just made. And that's literally just a guide so we can really kind of get that colour in there. I'm going to come in with a different brush. We're going to bring a little bit of Salty Ocean and kind of see how we can blend those ones together. So now I want to turn this into a proper night sky. So I've got just a little bit of Perfect Pulls here, and I'm going to do quite a heavy splatter on here for my starry sky. So I'm going to set that aside to dry now, and I'm going to work on my main kind of image. So again, for this I could use the stamps that come with this set, but I'm actually going to pull out this stamp set here. This is the Crafter's Companion Cute Christmas. This came with issue 100 of Creative Stamping, so I haven't used this stamp set yet, but these are really fantastic size to go in here if you want to kind of fill up that frame a little bit more, which is definitely what I want. I want something that is just kind of a little bit bigger. So I'm either going to do the snowman or I'm going to do the penguin. So I think we'll stamp the penguin today. So here is my little penguin that I've just coloured in, and I've just fussy cut all the way around so we don't have that white border. So let's just bring this back in and we can have a look at what this is going to look like. So I'm going to bring this down as far as I can just so we can get some of that light blue in there as well. And then I'm going to have my penguin just sat in there like so, and then I've got some of this Cosmic Shimmer glitter jewels. This is iced snow, and then we're just going to fill this section up and we're going to make a shaker card. So let's get some of these elements together now. So I think I'm going to have my background about there, and I'm just going to roughly just draw around that. So this is now where I want to trim this so it is going to not be seen outside of our red frame. So let's cut it down like that. And then that's going to fit on there nicely for us to be able to mount it onto our card. So we've got our other elements just here. So the first thing I want to do is create our shaker element. So I'm just going to turn this over. I've got one of those kind of cellophane bags, and I'm just going to cut a big enough piece. We want to make sure that we can get this really nice and secure. So here I've got my piece, and you can see it overlaps it nicely. I'm going to use some of my tape runner all the way around my frame. And I can just pop that one down. So there we have our shaker window. So I'm going to use some of this thicker shaker foam to go all the way around. So I'm gonna trim some of this off, and like I've shown in a previous video, I'm actually just gonna take that backing off, and that is then gonna allow us to be able to kind of snake this around, and it's gonna create it really, really simple. So before I put my shaker element together, and before then I add my jewels into here, I need to get my penguin on here, and I need to make sure that I get him in the right position. So I'm going to take just a little bit of liquid glue here, and I'm going to make sure that we get him really nicely stuck down. So he's going to be inside of our shaker element. So I'm going to lay this just on top. so I can get my positioning kind of just right. And I'm just going to pop him into there. I'm going to add a little bit of Nouveau Shimmer Sparkle just to a few elements, just to kind of give it a little bit of extra detail in there. So any of that kind of fur detailing, we are going to give it just a really lovely little sparkle. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to sprinkle our glitter just over the top of our penguin. Kind of fan this out just a little bit. Then I'm going to place my frame over the top. And there we have our shaker element. So you can see that that penguin is just in there, and then you have the snow kind of at his feet, and then we've got that really lovely kind of background in there as well. So what I'm going to do, just to make things a little easier when we come to add this panel onto our card bases, I'm just going to trim this back portion down. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add our handle to the top. Then let's add the first little tier to our stand. So I want to add just a little bit of dimension to this bottom bit, so I'm going to cut myself just a thin strip of foam here. Let's just grab another little piece. Okay, so there we have our stand. So we've just got a little bit of dimension on there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for our bow. I'm going to add some dimension here. So there we've got our bow. So looking at my patterned paper underneath, I've got a lot of red on here. So what I want to do is just trim this down ever so slightly. So I'm going to try and just take a small amount around each side. So to add our shaker panel to our backing card, I'm just going to use some of our shaker foam here, because it's going to be that same width, and because I've trimmed this down as well, it means then I've got kind of less space to pop my foam tape. So I've taken the backing off my tape, and I'm just going to add some glue to the back of that. Let's just get our patterned paper nice and central. So I've added some glue to the back of my card, then I can just add this onto my card base. So there we have our shaker card. So obviously the last thing we need to do now is add a sentiment. So here's my Merry Christmas. So I stamped and heat embossed that with some gold embossing powder. I then just fussy cut around that, and I think then I'm just going to kind of have that to the side here, because I don't want it to really cover up any of the other sort of portions of the card. So I think I'm going to have it just slightly coming off there. Then just as a little finishing touch, in the stamp set you've got 3 little snowflakes. I'm going to take some of my clear ink. So this is used for heat embossing, and you can use it for watermarks. So I'm just going to stamp this. It's just going to give a little tone on tone effect. It's not going to stand out too much, but I think it's really going to finish this top piece nicely. So let's just do a couple of these big ones. Then we've got a medium size. So you can just do this quite randomly. Let's do a couple here at the bottom. And then we've got this tiny, tiny one here that'll just finish this off nicely. So this is the finished card. I really love how this has turned out. I think it's all come together really brilliantly. Adding those watermark snowflakes to the red cardstock has really helped kind of finish this off nicely. I love it then with that coloured patterned paper in there as well. Again, this is really old paper now that I just never decided to use, but I think it looks great on this. And then of course we have our little kind of snow globe element here. So just another way of using that stencil. You don't have to ink with it. You can use it to create something like this as a shaker window. We've got that really cute penguin in there. So again, this is just showing you, yes, you can use the stamps with the stamp set, but you can use this with any other stamps that you have. And I'd be really, really interested to use this with other stamp sets that I have. I'm thinking kind of floral, flowers, things like that. I think it's going to work really beautifully. And then we have got our penguin there from issue 100 of Creative Stampin'. It's just a really perfect size. I kind of love having slightly bigger images at the moment, and I just think it's so lovely. And then we have got that snow in there. There's just enough to make it look like he's sort of walking through that snow, and then we have that lovely ink blended background that again looks like it is snowing. So that was a look at you using this Simply Cards and Papercraft 6x6 stencil, and then the stamp set, which is called Scenic Christmas. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so you don't miss out on any future videos. So that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting.